The security guard wouldn't look me in the eye. Instead, he held the cardboard box with both hands as if it weighed 100 pounds instead of holding 28 years of my life. "I'm sorry, Ms. Bennett," he whispered. "They asked me to walk you out." I looked past him through the glass walls of the design studio where I had spent nearly 3 decades creating clothes that women actually wanted to wear. Women who worked. Women who raised children. Women who needed confidence more than compliments. Inside, people I had mentored suddenly became fascinated by their computer screens. Not one of them stood up. Not one. My boss, Trevor Collins, folded his expensive arms across his tailored suit and smiled just enough for me to know he enjoyed this. "You should think of this as an early retirement, Evelyn," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Fashion belongs to the young now." A few nervous laughs escaped around the room. Then he added the sentence that would follow me for the next year. "You've simply become outdated." I picked up the cardboard box without saying a word. He mistook my silence for defeat. He had no idea it was the beginning of his biggest mistake. "My name is Evelyn Bennett. I was 58 years old the morning I lost everything." Or at least, that's what everyone believed. 3 months earlier. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the design floor before sunrise. I always arrived first. Not because anyone asked me to. Because creating clothes was never just a job. It was breathing. My sketchbook was already open before the lights fully warmed the room. Across the page flowed a collection inspired by women over 50. Elegant jackets with hidden stretch panels. Flowing dresses that celebrated curves instead of hiding them. Coats with deep pockets because women deserved pockets too. Real clothes. For real women. I smiled to myself. "This one," I whispered, touching a sketch. "You're going to make someone feel beautiful." "You still talking to your drawings?" I laughed before looking up. Rachel Morgan stood beside my desk balancing 2 coffees. "If they answer back," she teased, "I'm requesting another department." Rachel was 29. Bright. Funny. Fearless. She had joined the company 6 years earlier fresh out of fashion school, terrified of making mistakes. Now she was one of the best designers I'd ever trained. She handed me my coffee. "Double cream. No sugar." "You always remember." "You always remember everyone's birthday," she replied. "Seems fair." I smiled. Rachel had become more than a coworker. She was the daughter life never gave me. My husband Daniel used to joke that I'd accidentally adopted half the office. Daniel. Even after 4 years without him, thinking his name still softened something inside me. Cancer had stolen him in 11 months. It never asked permission. It never cared that we'd planned to travel after retirement. Some mornings I still reached across the bed before remembering. Rachel gently squeezed my shoulder. "You okay?" "I miss him." "I know." She didn't offer empty advice. She never did. Instead, she sat beside me while silence did what words couldn't. Then the elevator doors opened. Conversation stopped. Trevor Collins walked in wearing another perfect navy suit that probably cost more than my first car. He wasn't a designer. He was a businessman. Numbers excited him. People didn't. Behind him followed 2 consultants carrying tablets and forced smiles. Trevor clapped his hands. Conference room. Everyone. 5 minutes. The room filled with uneasy whispers. Layoffs had become common in the industry. Still, no one expected what came next. Trevor stood beside a giant presentation screen. "Our research shows," he announced confidently, "that our future customer is younger." Slides flashed behind him. Women in their 20s. Influencers. Runway celebrities. Luxury campaigns. He continued. "We need fresh ideas. Fresh energy." His eyes drifted toward me for only a second. But it was enough. One consultant cleared her throat. Our customer base over 50 has declined. I frowned. Because we stopped designing for them. Every head turned toward me. The consultant hesitated. Trevor smiled politely. Evelyn, today's market isn't interested in practical fashion. I looked around the room. Women don't stop existing after 50. Silence. Rachel nodded almost invisibly. Trevor ignored us. Meeting adjourned. As everyone stood, Rachel leaned toward me. That wasn't about customers. I know. It was about you. I watched Trevor laughing with the consultants outside the room. For the first time in 28 years, I realized I no longer belonged inside the company I'd helped build. I just didn't know how far Trevor was willing to go to erase me. And by the end of the week, he would make sure everyone knew it. The email arrived Friday morning at exactly 8:02. Mandatory executive review, attendance required. No agenda. No explanation. Just a conference room number. Rachel appeared beside my desk before I even opened the message. You got it too? I nodded. Her smile disappeared. I don't like this. Neither do I. For nearly 3 decades, I had learned to recognize the warning signs. Closed-door meetings. Human resources suddenly becoming unusually friendly. Executives walking faster than usual. Companies always tried to make bad news look organized. At 9 sharp, every designer took a seat. Trevor stood at the front with Melissa from Human Resources. That alone told me everything. Trevor clasped his hands together. As many of you know, we're entering a new era. There it was again. A new era. Corporate language for leaving people behind. He clicked to the first slide. Organizational restructuring. One by one, departments were discussed. Budgets. Marketing. Manufacturing. Then he looked directly at me. Our design philosophy is changing. I felt every eye in the room. We appreciate the incredible service some employees have given this company. Some employees. Not names. Not people. Just employees. But the future requires innovation. Rachel suddenly raised her hand. What exactly does that mean? Trevor smiled politely. It means adapting. We've been adapting every season. Not enough. The room grew painfully quiet. Trevor looked at Melissa. She slid a folder across the table toward me. Evelyn Bennett. Her voice almost cracked. Your position has been eliminated. No explanation. No thank you. 28 years reduced to 1 sentence. Rachel stood up so fast her chair hit the floor. Eliminated, she shouted. She built half this company. Trevor remained calm. This decision wasn't personal. I finally spoke. It became personal the moment you stopped seeing experience as valuable. Trevor folded his arms. Fashion is driven by youth. No. I answered softly. Fashion is driven by people who understand women. He looked annoyed. We disagree. I noticed. Melissa quietly added, your severance package is generous. Generous. As though money could replace purpose. I closed the folder without opening it. I won't argue. Trevor looked relieved. I expected professionalism. You'll get dignity. I stood. But don't mistake it for agreement. Rachel hurried after me into the hallway. You can't let this happen. It already happened. We'll fight it. I smiled sadly. No. Why? Because I'd rather spend my energy building something than begging someone to keep me. Her eyes filled with tears. They don't deserve you. I touched her cheek. Promise me something. Anything. Never let anyone convince you your worth has an expiration date. She hugged me tightly. I learned everything from you. Good. Then don't disappear. I laughed through tears. I don't plan to. By lunchtime the news had spread through the building. People stopped by my desk one after another. Some cried. Some apologized. Some admitted they wanted to defend me but were afraid. I didn't blame them. Fear pays mortgages. While packing my desk, I found an old photograph. Daniel stood beside me at my first runway show. He was wearing the ugliest tie imaginable. He insisted it brought me luck. I smiled despite myself. You'd tell me this isn't the end. His voice echoed in memory. Doors close because they're too small for where you're going. I placed the photo carefully inside my box. Then something unexpected happened. A young assistant named Lily approached quietly. She had worked there less than a year. I know this isn't my place. It is. She swallowed hard. I heard Trevor yesterday. My heart skipped. What did you hear? He told the consultants. She looked around nervously. That older designers make the brand look old. I stared at her. He actually said that? She nodded. And? She hesitated. He said your designs remind customers of their mothers. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Not because it hurt. Because it explained everything. This wasn't about talent. It wasn't about performance. It wasn't even about sales. It was age. Pure and simple. Before I could answer, Trevor appeared across the room. Evelyn. I turned. He smiled as though we were old friends. I almost forgot. He handed me my final evaluation. Outstanding. Exceeds expectations. Highest client satisfaction. Every category nearly perfect. At the bottom. Position eliminated. The contradiction almost made me laugh. You should frame this, I said. He frowned. Why? So you'll remember the day you proved I wasn't the problem. His smile disappeared. An hour later, the security guard walked beside me carrying my box. Employees watched from behind glass walls. The elevator doors opened. As I stepped inside, Rachel suddenly ran toward me. Wait. She placed my leather sketchbook into my hands. You forgot the most important thing. I looked down. Every collection I'd ever dreamed. Every idea no one had allowed me to create. Every future they said was impossible. The doors began closing. Rachel smiled through tears. They fired the designer. She pointed to the sketchbook. But they forgot about the artist. The elevator doors shut. I walked out of the building into cold October air with no job. No plan. And no idea that someone had been secretly watching my career for years. Someone whose phone was ringing at that exact moment. Someone about to make me an offer that would change everything. For 3 weeks, I didn't touch my sketchbook. It stayed on the dining table exactly where I had dropped it the day I came home with the cardboard box. Every morning I walked past it. Every night I looked at it. But I couldn't bring myself to open it. Losing a job hurts. Losing the place where you believed you belonged hurts even more. One rainy afternoon, my daughter Emily stopped by unexpectedly. She was 32, a pediatric nurse, and inherited Daniel's ability to walk into a room and know exactly how someone felt. She set 2 grocery bags on the kitchen counter. You haven't answered my calls. I've been busy. She looked around the spotless house. Doing what? I smiled weakly. Cleaning. She crossed her arms. The baseboards are cleaner than hospital operating rooms. I noticed. Mama. Her voice softened. You don't have to pretend you're okay. That sentence broke something inside me. I sat down at the kitchen table and covered my face. For the first time since losing my job. I cried. Not polite tears. Not silent tears. The kind that steal your breath. Emily wrapped her arms around me. They made me feel old, I whispered. No. They said it without saying it. She pulled back and looked directly into my eyes. They made themselves look small. I gave them 28 years. I know. I missed school plays because of deadlines. I know. I worked weekends. I know. I thought they were family. Emily squeezed my hands. They were coworkers. There's a difference. I nodded slowly. Daniel had always warned me. Love your work. Don't expect your work to love you back. I finally understood what he meant. Emily stood and walked to the dining table. Without asking, she picked up my sketchbook. I've never seen this one. You weren't supposed to. She flipped through page after page. Elegant coats. Flowing dresses. Comfortable evening wear. Sophisticated suits. Nothing flashy. Everything timeless. She stopped suddenly. Mama. What? Why didn't they make these? They said women my age don't buy fashion. Emily laughed. I work 12-hour shifts. So? The women buying clothes after work aren't 22. She held up a sketch of a deep emerald coat. I would buy this for you tomorrow. I smiled for the first time in days. You really like it? I love it. Then she said something that neither of us expected. So sell it. I blinked. What? Sell your designs. I don't own a company. You own talent. It isn't that simple. Maybe not. She sat beside me again. But staying here waiting for someone to apologize won't change anything. I stared at the sketches. For weeks they had looked like reminders of failure. Now, they looked like possibilities. The next morning I drove somewhere I hadn't visited in years. My mother's old sewing studio. After she passed away, I couldn't bear to sell it. The little brick building sat at the end of Maple Street. Dust covered the windows. The sign had faded almost white. Inside, time had stopped. Her sewing machine. Wooden cutting tables. Shelves filled with fabric rolls. Even her measuring tape still hung beside the mirror. I ran my fingers across the old work table. I miss you, Mom. I could almost hear her laugh. Then stop talking and start sewing. I laughed through fresh tears. Still giving orders. That afternoon, I opened every window. I swept the floors. Washed the glass. Organized the shelves. For the first time in years, sunlight filled the studio. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Hello? A warm, confident voice answered. May I speak with Evelyn Bennett? This is Evelyn. My name is Sophia Laurent. The name sounded familiar. I'm the creative director for Laurent House. I froze. Laurent House. One of New York's most respected independent fashion labels. I've admired your work for years. I honestly thought someone was playing a joke. I'm sorry. I know this is unexpected. You've admired my work? Long before your company let you go. My heart began racing. She continued. Women send us photos wearing your collections all the time. I leaned against the work table. But none of those collections had my name on them. They didn't need to. She paused. I always knew who designed them. I couldn't speak. I heard what happened. So did everyone else, apparently. The industry is smaller than people think. I laughed nervously. What can I do for you? I'd like to meet. About a job? No. Another pause. About your future. 2 days later, I found myself sitting across from Sophia in a quiet cafe in Manhattan. She was elegant without trying. The kind of confidence that didn't need expensive jewelry to announce itself. She looked through several pages of my sketchbook in complete silence. Finally, she closed it carefully. Evelyn. Yes? Why are these hidden in a drawer? My former company wasn't interested. She smiled. I'm not asking them. I looked down. I suppose I stopped believing anyone wanted them. Sophia leaned forward. I do. She opened her notebook. I want to invest in your first independent collection. I stared at her. I think you misunderstood. No. I don't own a business. You can. I've never run one. You can learn. I'm 58. She smiled even wider. So was my father when he started ours. I laughed. You make everything sound easy. It isn't. She became serious. In fact, she slid a newspaper clipping across the table. Across the top was Trevor Collins' smiling face. The headline read, Company announces bold new direction for younger consumers. Sophia tapped the article. He's betting his future that women over 50 no longer matter. I looked at Trevor's confident smile. Then back at my sketches. Sophia folded her hands. I think he's about to discover how expensive that assumption can become. Before I could answer, she revealed the one opportunity that would either change my life forever or destroy what little confidence I had left.